Hello, I am Michael Styles, and this is the story of art. Growing up as a kid, I never figured out where my creativity start from. I never figured out what I was engaged into and learning about. Growing up, I grew up in low-income neighborhoods, and I avoided as many people as I could, so I stayed in the house. And drawing was the only passion I could do that makes me feel like I can express my feelings of how I feel towards anything. And going to school and in middle school and learning about the Renaissance and Leonardo da Vinci made me feel like that I wasn't alone. And growing up more and realizing that I struggled with a lot of stuff, and it helped me learn that you can express your vision of how you feel to art by learning about Van Gogh. And I just want y'all to know about both of them. Da Vinci was a major in the Renaissance, and people noticed that and noticed how his art was one of the greatest things that ever be created, and how he realized the naturalistic between his art and how he can visualize the things and effects and that made his art what it is to this day, that he can see the flaws within his art and know that humans come with flaws, and he wanted to perfect that. He wanted to perfect his art to the point of being so realistic it seems like you're watching a real person in real life. Growing up, he was always into the Greek mythology, no, Greek and Roman methods and stuff. And so when he drew his art, he got his references from that. And as people realize that more often that his art has become more and more realistic, they have started to capture and gain knowledge from what he has been doing, and realize that he is one of the greatest artists alive. One of his most popular arts is the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, which is most popular by people of today because of how realistic his art is and how natural his art is. When it came to drawing, he always drew his characters nude because he wanted to gain knowledge of how the body functions and how people move and stuff. And he realized that he had to know the truth. Because he was a scientist at the same time of being an artist, so he had to know the truth within the human body. Van Gogh was one artist I figured out during high school of struggling with depression, and I didn't know how to express towards my art and what I wanted to do when it came towards that. And reading books about him helped me learn that I'm not the only one that struggled with the same thing. He struggled. He was a teacher at first, and he realized that he didn't want to do it anymore. So he moved on to art. He self-taught himself how to draw, but at the same time, he was struggling with the depression that he had, and you can see it as it expressed into his art, and if the colors and the lighting and how it looks in the background shows that he was going through a lot throughout his lifetime, creating all these beautiful and magical stuff. It just, people was fascinated about the things that he did, but he never liked it. He never felt whole as a person, and so he committed suicide and killed himself. But his art still live on. As I grew up, I went to one of his art museums, and it changed my life for the better, because I realized that when it comes to depression and stuff, you can use art as a method of escaping the trauma and the stuff that you go through, because you can express how you feel, and people can understand that and feel that. Because I felt it when I was looking at his stuff, and I felt it when I heard his background and his story, and I felt everything that he went through as a person. These two artists was one of the greats, and their art will live on forever because of how and how detailed and how amazing their art was during their times. Of Van Gogh with his details and the paintings, and how he realized and visualized everything around him, and his self-taughtness of how he made himself into one of the greatest artists alive. And Da Vinci, of him being during the Renaissance time of Christianity and making art and developing and sculpting and stuff and building things that people would never think about as a human. He was inhuman when it came to doing stuff like that, and a naturalistic between his arts and the things he created. Thank you.